Hi guys, welcome to this week's video. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend and you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go over some of the things that happened last week and what we have coming up this coming week as well. And I'll go over some charts and give you guys what I'm thinking, and I'm adding a few more new ones in there for you to keep an eye on. So let's look at what we have coming up. All right. Last week was pretty interesting, actually. We'll look at the charts where exactly it happened on on Tuesday, and then what happened on Friday. But this coming week is also going to be very, I would say, volatile. We'll see a lot of big moves up or down. So a lot of volatility. So please be careful with your trades and don't get stuck in it. Always pay attention to the time any of this information is coming out. So don't be starting a new position around this time. So the ones that you really want to pay attention to is Chicago Fed, which actually happens to come out before the market opens tomorrow. And then we do have the home prices, the consumer confidence coming out as well, new sales. So this always moves the market as well. We always see some sort of, move takes place. And then you got the initial jobless claims and continue jobless claims. This is the day that you want to pay attention to it, because this is what Feds are really looking at it when they are making their decisions. That's what at least they're telling us, that this is the data that they are paying attention to, is the PCE. So this is all that core, the 12-month, 3 months, all of this is coming out on Friday. So please do pay attention to that. And then we have the pending home sales. That's also going to be coming out on Friday. So Friday should be a pretty interesting day to see how market reacts to it. And then the other thing is we have a big earnings week that is coming up. So I think Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, along with the data that's coming out as well, this is going to be a one full week that we are going to see a lot of action that's going to happen. So I'm very interested in Microsoft, Google, Visa, all of these ones will definitely make some sort of a move. And then on Wednesday, you got Boeing, Meta, Ford, and where is Shopify. You have Shopify, Apple. So Apple is on Thursday. And then on Friday, I still think oil and energy should do well, just because they've been doing really well as well. So these ones you want to definitely watch. This week is going to be very, very interesting. So please be careful with your trades. I would say don't go anything heavy if you don't have a time on it. So that's the one thing that I would want you to pay attention to it. Okay, so let's look at, let's start with the SPX first. All right, so if we look at it, we had a pretty interesting day, right? On Tuesday, we ended up moving, and then on Wednesday and Thursday, we ended up giving up all of the gains. And then Friday, we made a nice move. Like on Friday, in the morning, the futures were kind of trending down. So around, I want to say is 10:30 Eastern time, and they were still trending down. But after that, once Bank of Japan stepped in, and they were trying to strengthen their currency, yen. So like trying to slow down its depreciation. So once they stepped in, market took that as a bullish. And we started to move higher. We were not able to break below the 3640, which I thought we might do it, and then continue to the downside of it. However, market picked up a speed, and we continue to move up based on that news. So always pay attention. Market just doesn't move on the US only, what's happening in the US market or US news, what kind of is coming up. Right now, we are reacting to everything that's coming out of rest of the world as well. So Bank of Japan stepped in. They want to strengthen. They did not want the yen to be depreciating so quickly. So that really changed the course of the market. So these were the zones that I was waiting because it had a gap that needed to be filled, right? So we did jump in it on Tuesday. So this was the Tuesday's run up. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we pretty much gave everything up. And on Friday, we are still slightly below where on Tuesday we got rejected at 37.64. And so we'll see where SPY opens up. We're still stuck in these levels. I would love for SPY to break above at least, SPX to break above, 37.70 to see if we are going to continue to have this run up. This could also be considered that backs testing of this trend line, and we are continue to move higher. However, if we start to lose below, I'm still waiting for that 36.40. If we can break below that level, we would continue to come down into the 3,500 area. So that's for you on the SPX. And on the 1 hour, this is the last week that I gave you guys. These are the paths that I'm watching, whether if we are going to take the green path or we're going to take the blue path. And looks like we ended up actually taking this blue path is what market ended up taking. So now looking at it, are we going to complete this small pullback and continue to the higher side of it? I will definitely be watching what's going to be happening here with this path. And if we look at SPY as well, let's go to the daily. And so far, SPY is also following the path that I drew last week. I think it's been 2 weeks now. Definitely want to see first SPY to clear the 375 and then 378 and then continue to it. I would say 390 is still on the table. And if we get rejected somewhere in the 388, 399, we're then headed back down to making even lower lows. So if that's what it's going to follow it. The other interesting thing is we have recapture above the 50% of the RSI as well. So I want to see if it's going to continue or any pullbacks and we're coming down. I'm looking for, again, back into the 360, 362 area as well. I also charted US 500. This is the one I use most often. When it comes to looking at the futures, I'm using this chart more to see what my SPX and SPYs can do what we actually did overnight as well. So again, the levels are, I would love for it again to break below 36.40 and then we continue down to 3,500. We are kind of making triple tops here as well, but if we are starting to break above, there is a liquidity that needs to be tested or grabbed, whatever the word you want to use. So again, this lines up with your SPY hitting up to 388 to 390. So that's what you have there. And then let's look at what is dollar looking like. And look at the dollar. It's hold pretty hard on Friday, and but it's holding that trend line, right? So every time we've pulled back hard, we have moved higher. And this is the green line that I've had it for a while here, and it's a strong support for it. Currently, it's sitting right on it, and it's holding very nicely. We are still above the 50. And if I bring this a little bit closer, your RSI is still trending upwards. So this is still positive divergence that you can call that we're moving upwards. So Dixie could continue to move higher. So another thing is VIX has been staying interestingly, in that $28 to $32 range. This is a channel that it's in. If we are going to see any sort of a move and VIX holds 28, this seems like it's fueling up as a rocket, and then it's going to probably, shoot up. So that's what I want to see. And especially with a lot of these big companies reporting their earnings, if you look at it year over year, sales growth is still positive. It's still running high. However, the earnings growth is down, but I think that can still change because this week is a lot of the earnings are being reported because 20% of the earnings for S&P are already reported. So there are still, 80% of the earnings that are left to be reported. And that I think can change the outlook for where the earnings are going to end up. But for VIX, this is pretty crucial. If we start to lose below 28.89, we're definitely headed toward that 390 on SPY. Even, you could see 400 if we are starting to break below and continue to even test the 200 moving average. So pay attention to it. But as I said, market has been following the dollar more closely than I would say I've seen it move with VIX. So I've been really during the daytime paying attention to what is dollar doing. So if you pull up your hour charts, we are kind of in this I like to call it symmetrical triangle, and these triangles are considered to be bullish, right? And we've been testing these zones come down, and this line has been pretty respected, broke down for a little bit, but it still holds that second line as well. So what I'm looking for it is to see if on the hour it regains above the 200 moving average, and we're starting to break above here. And that would, I would say, only happen if some of these big companies' earnings pull back pretty strong, or some other news comes out, and we do have that, big like the Chicago Fed's talking, the home sales, all of that stuff coming out. So if that affects and we're moving out of this symmetrical triangle, we will definitely see the market pull back. All right, so let's look at some of the charts that, or the tickers that I want you guys to watch. So I think I talked about Roku a little bit, but I'm liking this one. It is coming up to the demand zone. It's actually inside the demand zone. Looks like you have a double bottom here as well. So if we were to continue to hold above here from the double bottom, and it has a room to move up to it. It has at least minimum to give you $10, $15 move to go. I would like to pick up something between the $45 and $47, anywhere between that. If it pulls back, a great place. A lot of time on it. I wouldn't be playing this with the monthly or even 3 months. I would be buying plenty of time just because Roku's been, if you look at it, it's been beaten up quite a bit. But this is also a very nice demand. So I definitely want you guys to pay attention to it and see how we move from here. So keep this one on your list. And definitely like to see some sort of a movement in next coming week to see how we hold these levels. And if it pulls back, I would say your stop loss anywhere in the 39 area, or even if you want to be cautious and you can put your stop loss at $42. And I think risk to reward on Roku could be really nice. And let's look at Oxy is the one that we talked about it last week. Let's see how we did on Oxy. Beautiful. Look at that. It's following that path very nicely. Nice move up. I would have liked it if it filled the gap. However, this demand zone was very nice and it moved nicely. And we are back in this area again. So if we do pull back, I think oil, energy, all of these things are going very strong. And I still have this trend line. I think it can test. So if you get in a chance to get an entry, please do so. I did take and did take a end of the 2023 contracts on this one. So I'm holding for to see a full move. Did take a little bit profit on Friday, but I'm holding majority of my position to see. My final take profit is somewhere in the $80 to $81 area. So definitely keep an eye on it. I think it still can give you a nice entry as well. Apple, let's look at the weekly. It's very nice. This I haven't actually added any more new lines because everything is respecting so nicely. It seems like Apple is kind of stuck between 134 to 150, 151 area. I would personally like for it to pull back and do a one retest to 132 and then continue. However, market's going to do what market wants to do, right? So even on the daily, as we talked about last week, that it could move very nicely, which it did. It held above the trend line. You know, the best way to play these things, obviously, you're not, there's never a perfect entry. So you have to, as long as your risk to reward is good and you are managing your positions, closely. Let's say I take an entry. My stop loss is going to be slightly below 132 just because if I look at it, it can fake me out and they are stop loss hunting. And taking people's stop losses right here and then move higher. So I would definitely buy myself a little bit on my stop loss and then see if it holds above it, and your risk to reward is beautiful on it. So I would say watch to see how we clear this demand, or if we have a pullback to retest any of these areas. I think with the time on it, it definitely looks good. However, when we have like the full market is done doing what it needs to do, I still have Apple coming down to somewhere in the 80 to 50 or $60 zones, I would say. I'm not saying this can happen overnight or in a month, but this is still on the books. So on the higher side of it, I would say 154 is been a zone that it needs to clear out first before we can say, oh, we're headed back into the 200 area. So definitely to watch this one. Then NVIDIA, we've been talking about NVIDIA for a while as well, and you can see this. This is the same falling wedge that I gave you guys last week, and it held beautifully, but a perfect move. And I've took actually, I have a position in it. And again, my contracts are to end of 2023. I am watching it cleared. Any of the orange lines are usually based on the dark pool prints. So this is dark pool prints. Nobody can tell whether they were buy or a sell, but you can use them as a support and a resistance area. So we broke through this level where the dark pool print was heavy, and now I'm watching to see my next is 126.45, and after that is the 130 area. And this might be, again, you have to keep an eye on the rest of the market as well, what's happening. If we are not clearing any of these levels, NVIDIA does have a strong demand zone at the bottom here in the 90 and $88 area as well. However, this move was very nice. You almost got a $15, $20 move out of NVIDIA just last week, if you are watching it. So definitely like this one. And then the other one, I think I quickly talked about ITSI last week, but let's look at ITSI. So watch this one. If you can pick up anywhere between 86 to 79 to $78, because this is again a pretty strong, a lot of the dark pool prints are here as well. So if we do have a pullback, I think this one is going to be very nice. Risk to reward ratio can be very nice. Any pullback on ITSI in this zone, you can start a position. And the thing is, when you have a time on your contracts, even if it pulls back into, let's say you start a position at $82 and it pulls back to 78 and moves, and you have a time on your side, time decay is not going to kill your contracts. So you will be able to take benefit of this full position. So I'm definitely watching this on ITSI. I think I drew a second. Let me see. second path, and let's see, no, not on this one. Okay, anyways, so all of the charts are looking pretty nice. So this is the 2-day, and then looking at the weekly, would love for it. And the weekly, as you can see, we do have this trend coming up this way. So that's why I would love for it to come back down and test this and then move higher. So that's what I'm watching on Etsy. And then we got Costco. Okay, Costco has this beautiful diamond that I think went over last week as well too. We're having slight back test of it, and look at how beautifully it held those sports lines as well, and we bounced right from it. And this is the zone I have on Costco. Would love for it to still pull back into the daily demand zone and then move, because if you look at it, we do, I think there is like few cents left into the gap that if it can fill. So this would be a really nice if we can have a pullback into the daily demand zone and then continue. If we are going to continue, I'm watching to see what the supply zone is going to do right here. Okay, what else? Let's see. Talk about Meta. I don't remember. Okay, yes. So this is Facebook or Meta, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to show you two different paths that I have drawn on Meta. So it is in a demand. We are kind of back testing it, but I would still like to have a little bit pullback. So anywhere in the 121 to 119, 117 area, if we can pick up our contracts, definitely has a very nice move up to the 180 zone as well. But of course, there's along the way resistance that needs to be broken. So if it's breaking above 142, my next take profit is going to be in the 175 to 182 area. Again, another pullback retest and then continue. So if you don't know, these are, whenever these predictions are made, they are based on the Elliott weights. So I would love for it to see if we can get this move. However, this is also a chart that I showed you guys last week as well. So on the weekly as well, the demand looks really nice. So it's holding, but would love for it to have another pullback. And then I will start a position with the time on it. But my stop loss is going to be 115. If I see that Meta is losing 115, then there is nothing stopping that. It has a room to $83. And then my next demand zone is in the $75 to $60 area. So that's the risk I'm willing to take, thinking that it's going to move higher. So that's what I am watching on Meta. Was it on the 1 hour? No, I draw on one chart. I had like two different paths, and now I can't remember which chart it is. Which one did I draw on? Okay, hopefully I'll find it. All right, so what else do we have? What else do you want to look at? I think Google has earnings. Let's look at Google and we'll look at Microsoft, because those are the two that are big companies and they have earnings coming up. What a beautiful move on Google as well. And as you can see, I actually haven't made any new lines on it. But this thing definitely respected these support and resistance lines that I gave you guys last time. 102 is what it's having a hard time breaking above. I always call anytime the things are breaking below like this, that they are stop loss hunting for your people who have orders and they put stop loss hunters. That's what they are doing. So if I were to move close to the right there, so if I am taking a position, let's say we come back down to the $95, $94, my stop loss is going to be $92. If it breaks below from 92, there's nothing stopping it until the 86, 85 zone. So that's what I have on Google. I think I don't have a Microsoft charted on this computer, but let's see. Okay. Oh, I do. All right. So looks like we held this support perfectly. 219 is where we moved from. This has been a very, very strong resistance for Microsoft, which is, I would say, 242 to 245 area has been a strong resistance for it. So watch how we behave tomorrow. If we are clearing 255 and hold, I would say for earnings, it has a room up to retest this supply zone as well. So definitely watch this, how we react tomorrow or until the earnings. If it holds above 245, I would say more room to the higher side. If it does not, then you definitely have this thing probably pulling back to the downside of it as well. So I would definitely pay attention to the 245, how that behaves. Okay, let's look at the our bonds as well, how it's doing. Look at this. I shared this last week with you guys, and what a pullback, and it is slightly, I would say, 18 cents off from my support. I have 92.02. If this thing pulls back furthermore, we are looking at 77, which means our SPY SPX should be pulling back. So anytime this is pulling back, market should be pulling back. And whenever you have TNX running, then again, your market should be pulling back. And we are holding this support very nicely. If we do see a pullback here and the TLT is running, you will definitely see your SPY and SPX running as well. All right, so that's it for the charts I have. If you have any questions or anything you want to see, please feel free to leave a comment below. I did wanted to quickly go over some of our alerts that have come through and what our win rates been. So this is the monthly bot swing alerts that we have the program. And as you can see, for the month of August, we got 6 alerts and all 6 of them 100% win. And for month of September, we had 8 alerts and 99% so far. And we're still holding this position because we have almost 8 months left on it. So I will definitely update how we end up doing it. And for the month of October, we already so far have 14 alerts and we have 5 open positions and rest of them have been win. We have not so far had to cut a single loss on the bot alerts yet. And then for a small account challenge, we took a loss on our first call out on XLE. However, we do have about 3 positions opening still that we are waiting to see how we are going to end up doing. And rest of them have been anywhere between 10 to 20% runners. And our GM put runners went up to 244. And then in live trading as well, that I call out swings just between the live trading and bot. And if you don't even scalp, just the swings alone. So for the first week of October, we took 1 loss. And this was also a lotto because we played weekly. And this one took a loss for 60%. But rest of them, anything I called out, these are usually either paid the next day or took 2-3 days, and we were able to be in green and take benefits of this. And then this is the second week of October, and so far I'm still holding a full position on Datadog. So if you want to look at that chart, definitely has a more room. And I'm still holding a half a position on FCX, and did take a loss on Vodafone. And this play was actually based on the flow, and it did not really hit. And the way it was moving, and plus I didn't have much time on it. So I told the group that I'm cutting. So that's how you manage your positions when you look at the chart. So I took a 17% loss on that one. So that was the second week of October. And then the third week of October, we have a little bit more loss is because the Netflix earnings. We played the earnings lotto. However, with the up and down, ended up like killing our contracts. So did not make anything on the call or the put. We took both of them, and it was earnings lotto. So took a loss on this one. And same with I've taken 10% on FSK, but I'm still holding half of the position to see how we do because I have time on it. Same with the DBX. We actually played DBX twice in a row. We played last week as well, and we were able to make 22%. And I'm still holding half the position on this one. So if you want to look at it and you get a, entry, I think this one has a more room to the downside as well. And then BA, this one was a loss. It ended up running the next day, and it was a lotto. It wasn't something that we were, it was a swing. So I always tell the group, it's a risk. It could be 100% or it could be nothing. So you have to take, even if you didn't take any of these lottos, you would have still been in the green. And then we had Twitter, 90%, and then Snap was call. We had to cut. But as you can say, put paid us 171%. That ended up covering our cost for Snap. And then we took a couple others. For Adobe, I'm still holding some, I don't think so I took any. I'm still holding this one. And then I called out Twitter and Disney on Friday. So obviously we'll see how we do it for this coming week. I will try to share more of this to see how, our call outs do as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. And if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to see, please feel free to comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. I will see you guys next week.